In today's video, I will be giving you 2 fall crafts that everyone who walks into your door will absolutely love and ask you where you got it from. If we haven't met, my name is Tammy, and this is Llamas Creations DIY. I hope you enjoy the video. Let's start crafting. So we're starting off with these 3 individual pumpkins that I got from my local Dollarama, and also this wood sign that I got from Dollarama as well. After taking all the paper off and the strings and everything, I'm going to paint all the 3 pumpkins with my mixture of orange. When that's done, taking some brown paint, I'm going to lightly distress it in the areas where a pumpkin would normally have grooves, just to help bring it out a bit, so it's not so flat looking. Pumpkins aren't flat, they're round and all different sizes and shapes, so let's make it look that way. Taking an old book, I think it was a cholesterol health book or whatever, I'm going to rip out a bunch of pages. Don't worry, it's old. I don't know what edition it is, but it's not worth anything. Then, taking each page that I ripped out, I'm going to tear along each of the sides where the white parts are, getting all that white off, but then also making it look a little worn and torn and all that fun stuff. Now, taking every single one of those pages, I'm going to crinkle it in my hands, getting it to look a little more worn and torn. Doesn't matter how much you crinkle it, whatever way you want. Using some more brown paint and a sponge brush, and then I switch to a regular brush, I'm going to distress each and every one of the pages, along the sides, on the top, everywhere, making it look, again, like it's a little more worn. Bringing out that sign that we took all the paper off of, we're going to take each one of our pieces of book paper, add Mod Podge to the back, and we're going to glue it onto the sign. And then I add a little Mod Podge on around the edges to make sure it sticks, and I continue doing it until the entire board is covered. When it is covered, I add another coat of Mod Podge on top, and then I let it dry. After it's all dry, we're going to take a sanding brush, no, not a brush, sponge, finger sander, any kind of sander you have, and in a downward motion, you're going to sand off all the extra paper that is hanging over the edge. This will give it a nice crisp edge, make it look nice and finished. When that's done, we're going to take our 3 pumpkins we painted, place 2 on the bottom, and the one on top we're going to glue on top of it. We're going to put those aside, let that set up, and also so we can put our hanger on. We're going to take that little sticker off the back. I had to sand it off best I could. And then we're going to add a hanger on just with some jute rope, tying a knot in either end. And I add another little piece of the paper on top on both ends. Now we're going to add our pumpkins on top, again just with some hot glue. Add a good amount of hot glue to the back and stick it on top of the board. Using some more jute rope, I'm going to wrap that middle pumpkin with that all the way to the top. But you might want to do this before you add it to the board. Would have probably been easier, but it was an afterthought for me. Then we're going to just start decorating it. Making a little bow tie out of some ribbon. And it's out of frame, so I am sorry. Gonna add in some berries and some leaves and some other fun stuffs. And you can add whatever you want. You can leave it plain, you can add different colors, decorate it whichever way you want. And when you're done decorating, this is how it turns out. I love it. Next craft. Starting off with this little sign, we're going to take all the stickers, the hanger, and the paper off. Easy peasy. Next, what we're going to do is using my vintage mustard home decor chalk paint, we're going to just give it a messy brushing. Don't need full coverage, just all over. And then I go over top with my mixture of orange. Same way. Using my left hand and a pencil, I'm going to just freehand on Happy Fall, y'all. and then go over it with a black paint marker. Dry brush it with some more brown paint. Give it a little more distressing. And then we're going to cover the back with some craft paper. Just with some hot glue, put it on top of the craft paper and trim it around with it with my knife. You can use scissors, anything you want. Add a little leaf to the side. And then we're going to add a hanger onto the back, but you want this one to be a little bit longer because it's going to be used in a different way, which you will see coming up. Again, I just used some jute rope with some hot glue and a knot. Add another little piece of paper on top, and I do the same to the other side. Now you're going to need 6 pipe cleaners. You're going to fold them all in half, but then you're going to make sure the bottom is kind of like level, square. You're going to take 3 at a time. For the first one, for all 3 of them, you're going to add on some beads, any size beads you want. And I can't remember how many I put on each side, but you want enough that you have some pipe cleaner left on top. Excuse me. And it's going to look like that. After they're all done, you're going to take 3 of them. You're going to lay one out, the other one in a crisscross motion. Put the third one on top, and then the one that's on the bottom, you're going to take those and wrap it around all 3 at the bottom. This way it'll secure them all together. Scrunch them all together on the top. Push all your beads down to the bottom. Pull it together on the top, and again with one of the leftover pipe cleaners there, you're going to wrap it together, securing it. And then I painted both of mine with my vintage mustard home decor chalk paint. You can do it any color you want. This is what I decided. I just wanted to do this color. Letting those dry aside, you're going to need a piece of cardboard and something circular. I'm using paint can. You're going to trace around it and cut it out. After that's done, you're going to need another piece. Doesn't matter how long, just a long straight piece. Taking that piece, you're going to bend it in a circle, but you don't want the outer edge. You just want a small circle in the middle of the other one. Trim it down where you need. And then I used some hot glue and I glued the 2 ends together. Putting that aside, we're going to take this orange fabric that is just a old pajama pants. We're going to cut out a circle that is a wee bit bigger than the cardboard circle, and we're going to hot glue it all the way around. And I cut little slits in it so to make it easier to hot glue down. And then I cut out another circle around the same size and glued it to the underside so all of that was covered up. We're going to cut off another long piece and we're going to glue it around this little cone. I don't know what you call that. We're going to glue it around that, hiding all that stuff. Glue it on top of the circle. And then we're going to add some floral foam and some fall leaves and berries into the top. Decorate it up a bit, almost like it's a vase. What we're making is a hat. I'm going to add some ribbon around it. And then we're going to put that aside to use for in a little bit. Now I have these 2 pieces of little pieces of wood. One is 18 inches and the other one I believe is 9 inches. On the 18-inch piece, I'm going to measure down about 4 inches and just mark it with my pencil. And then taking this 9-inch piece, I'm going to find the middle of this piece and just mark it with my pencil. Taking or using some wood glue, I'm going to add some glue just under the first mark that we did. And we're going to line up our center mark of the second piece right on top. And then I use a little screw and I screw them together. Using some burlap, I'm going to measure out 12 inches. I'm going to go up to the top and pull out one of those little strands, and that'll give me a nice straight line to cut. And then I do the same thing going the other way, but I do 30 inches. I do the exact same thing. Make a little mark, find my little string, pull that out so it's easier to cut, and I cut them out. Then I'm using the same material that I just used on the little hat we made. It's just from a pair of old pajamas, and I cut out the same size. Taking the pajama part first, or the orange check one, we're going to hang it over top of our little cross. And then we're going to take our burlap, find the center of that, cut a little slit in it for like a little opening, and hang that on top of the orange check one. Kind of like so. This here is a half of a foam circle. We're going to take that and glue it on top. That's why we measured down about 4 inches, so we had room for the half circle. And I use wood glue and some hot glue. Now we're going to decorate. We're going to cut out a little triangle for his nose. Add some wood glue and some hot glue to glue it into place. Using a black marker, I'm going to add in some little stitch lines. And then using some regular black paint, we're going to add in his eyes and his mouth. And I keep placing his hat there so I can figure out the position of where his eyes and nose should be. Now, lifting up his poor little outfit. Sorry, we're looking underneath. Don't look if you're scared. We're going to put on his hands, which is the little corns that we made. Just with some hot glue, and then I staple it down with my stapler. Do both hands this way. Putting his shirt back down, we're going to put our little sign on top. Hang it around his neck. Now, using a book and some thicker jute rope, I'm going to wrap it around the book a few times. Pull out the ends, tie it in the middle. Little hot glue in between the ties. And then I use those ends that I pulled out. I wrap it around his neck and tie it around his neck. Help it secure it a little more, and I clip open those little loops. After those little loops are clipped open, I unfray all the little pieces so it looks a little more shaggy. Add in a few little leaves in behind it. And then it's time to put on his hat. We're going to use some hot glue, a lot of hot glue. And then I pulled out some pins, and I'm using those as well. And I'm just going to pin it right down into the foam of his head. The hat right down to the head. I use hot glue, and I'll add hot glue and then use some pins and all the way around just to make sure that this hat stays secure. Taking some more of the thicker jute rope, I'm going to just overlap it in my hand a few times, cut all the loops, and then using some, I'm not done cutting the loops, taking some pieces and some hot glue, I'm going to add some to the end and slide it right underneath the hat so it looks like it's his hair, and I do this all the way around his head, all on the sides and all in the back. Next, what I'm going to do is my sister gave me a bunch of ribbon, and this one here was in it. I absolutely love it. It's like an accordion type ribbon. I'm going to make a finger bow by just wrapping around my fingers and tying it in the middle. We're going to add that to his hat, and it's a double loop. We're going to take his little tails and glue them to either side because they were hanging in his face. Next, we're going to flip them over, and using a pipe cleaner, we're going to wrap it around itself, staple it into place, clip off any extra, and when you're done that, your hanging Scarecrow is done. I love him. I have him hanging in my house. He's cute. I love him. I would like to thank you for sticking to the end and watching my video. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe, like this video, and don't forget that bell so you know every time I upload. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for always coming back and watching my videos and supporting me. I hope everybody has a wonderful day. We'll see you again next time. Bye!